Hi, this is Dr. Ari Molavi coming to you from hidefacademy, doing the 100-day liposuction challenge. Today's question is, can liposuction remove visceral fat? What is visceral fat? Let's talk about that first. Visceral fat describes the fat. It's a layer of fat that surrounds your organs, your intestines, all your organs, vital organs, inside the abdominal cavity. It's way below where we're liposuctioning, okay, guys? We're liposuctioning just underneath the skin in that layer where the superficial fat and deep fat is. That's overlying the muscle tissues, the muscle lining, the muscles of the abdomen, for example. The gut fat or the visceral fat is actually internal, so deeper to the muscle layer. So with liposuction, we're never penetrating through that muscle layer anyways. So it's really hard to get to. Now, I did want to just talk about the visceral fat and what it is and what the significance of it is and why people are even wondering if you can remove it. Well, what happens is if the visceral fat is generous and large, it'll push your belly out. It'll make it stick out. We often see these in men. They get this beer belly, beer gut. It's very taut. It's almost like a drum. You can, like, if you pounce on their belly, it sounds like a drum. They're filled to the rim basically, and they're popping almost. And so they might think that, oh, liposuction might help, but actually if you feel their belly, there's no fat on the outside. Like if you pinch their skin, there's no fat there. It's all on the inside. So regardless, they look in the mirror and they have this barrel belly and they're like, oh, I got this big belly. Doc, help me. Can you liposuction? Make me look better. Well, the answer is that you actually can't get to that fat. In theory, you could actually trim the fat out surgically, but we're not allowed to do that either. So why is that? Because the visceral fat is actually protective. It protects your organs. God forbid if you get an injury, like a penetrating injury, like a stab or a gunshot wound or a car accident where you get penetrated by something and it drills like one of your intestines or your organs, that visceral fat is supposed to go and protect the organ. It actually seals it off so it's not leaking. It can actually save your life. So for that reason alone, we're not allowed to touch that visceral fat, regardless of trimming it or liposuctioning it. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about that visceral fat because it is a special layer, okay, and it's called the omentum in medical terms, and it protects your life like we just talked about, so you're not allowed to remove it. However, it is just as effective as protecting your organs when it's thin than when it's generous. Okay, so it doesn't have to be big. Bigger is not better. In fact, if that visceral fat is generous in size, it's actually counterproductive to your health. It's actually associated with chronic diseases such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease. It's actually a good indicator of whether you're healthy or not. So those guys that are walking around with big bellies that are popping out, that are taut, that have visceral fat, they're actually not healthy. They're not more protected from injury. And the reason for that is that that visceral fat, the gut fat, actually is very, very immunologically active, and it produces a cytokine, an inflammatory marker called, for example, TNF-alpha or IL-6. And that marker and that cytokine is that hormone that's excreted from these fat cells actually makes you diabetic. It actually causes insulin resistance. It actually disengages your insulin, which is a hormone that your body produces when you eat sugar that helps your body cells remove the sugar out of your bloodstream. So if you have a lot of visceral fat, it's going to create cytokines or inflammatory markers that are going to disengage your insulin from being able to activate your cells to suck out the sugar out of your blood. And so a lot of visceral fat is not healthy, and it's not more protective of you, for example, in a penetrating injury. And so you want to lose that visceral fat. And that, i.e., is why guys show up to the office saying, hey, doc, can you help me with the gut fat or the visceral fat? Can you lipo that out? Well, the answer is we cannot remove that. The only way you can get rid of visceral fat, and you're not getting rid of it, but making it thinner and more efficient, is on your own. You have to change your lifestyle. You have to do the work. And it involves being more physically active and also improving your overall diet, having a balanced diet, high in proteins, low in sugars, being healthy, being under caloric just a little bit so that you lose a little bit each day. Okay, so that's the answer to can liposuction help with visceral fat? Thank you. If you love that question, please subscribe to our channel. Click that button for getting alerts for our next videos, and follow us on our other videos. Thank you very much.